Hey everybody, welcome to CAF Warbird Tube, the show where we talk about World War II, aviation, history, and so much more. Warbird Tube is produced by the Commemorative Air Force, the world's largest flying museum. Our mission is to educate, inspire, and honor through flight and living history experiences. The CAF began the Warbird movement more than 65 years ago, and thanks to the support of individuals like you, we continue to grow strong. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and now our host, Steve Buss. Thanks for watching and keep them flying.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to all of you watching on Facebook, whether you're on the CAF Facebook page or the Airbase Georgia page. Welcome. And also those of you watching on YouTube and GoToMeeting. If you could do us a favor, if you haven't done so already, just take a second and hit the like or share button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and you'll be able to follow us and all the latest episodes of Warbird Tube. Now, if you do subscribe on YouTube, also click the bell icon and you'll get notifications about new episodes, especially when we go live. All right, now as you're watching tonight's presentation, you might have some questions. Just type them in the comment section and we'll try to answer them either during the presentation or before we sign off. This is episode 82 of Warbird Tube, and tonight we take a look at Airbase Georgia and several of their restoration projects. And joining us live from the hangar floor, we've got a couple of gentlemen from Airbase Georgia. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Go ahead, Randy.
I'm Randy Hawkins. I'm the maintenance officer currently at Airbase Georgia, and I've been in the position about 4 years.
And I'm Phillip Eagle. I'm the professional floor sweeper and toilet cleaner.
Well, Randy, let's start with you. How did you get involved with aviation and specifically with the Airbase?
Oh, I've been working airplanes since I was 18 in the Air Force, and then after that, got my A&P license at Embry-Riddle, and then taught some down there, worked FBO, and then went on and got on with Delta Airlines and worked Delta for 36 years, and retired. And I lived 3 miles from here, and I used to come over here every chance I got. And there were some people that I worked with at Delta that had done the same thing. They kept talking to me, and finally one day, we had a World War II days that we have once a year, and I had retired. And they had a T-34 project that they were really just getting going on and needed some help. And one of the guys drugged me down here, and I said, okay. So that was in January of 16. And I've been here ever since.
Well, good. Now, you said you just live a few miles from Airbase. Where exactly is the hangar located in the greater Atlanta area?
The hangar is in Peachtree City at Falcon Field Airport. It is a municipal airport, non-controlled. We have corporate airplanes of all sorts and all kind of other things flying. It has a long 5,500 foot runway, I believe it is. And there's a lot of activity here at Falcon Field.
Excellent.
We're down into the whole access road to the airport.
All right. And Phillip, how about you?
So I'm Phillip Eagle. I've been a member of the CAF for about 20 years now, which is really scary to say that I actually grew up pretty much in the CAF. I've been involved in every aspect of the CAF you can think of, from local stuff to national politics to just anything I get involved in. I love to participate and love to play, and it's a great camaraderie and a great group of people.
Well, before we dive into some of the restoration projects, tell us a little bit about the unit itself, how many members you have, and some of the more, I guess, maybe unique members that are part of the organization.
So we have approximately 300 members, give and take. We're going to approach over 400 this year. And we've been a wing for about 30 years now. We have 6, 7, 8 flying airplanes. How many do we have? 7?
There's 7 in the fleet that are operational, a couple of those in restoration, and we have 2 that are now new projects, like the Stearman and the P-47.
So you asked about some of our members. We've had members from all walks of life. One of my favorite members, his name was Tex Late. He was a P-47 mechanic in the Pacific. And of course, he never got to see our current project, the P-47, which we'll see later. You're just going to have to stay tuned and see it later. But he would love, every single time he got an opportunity, he talked about P-47s. He participated with them. He went up to the Tennessee guys. We have 2 of them up there, brought them down here. he was just an avid P-47 guy. So he's one of the more entertaining members we've had here.
I got to correct Bob, Fred. Hey, there's Joel. We just did a head count, a new census for Airbase Georgia, and we're up to 489 people.
Wow. That's
So
impressive.
this is our wing leader, Joel. He was stuck in traffic. Unfortunately, he took a left on Peachtree Street. When all of them were named Peachtree here, we just, I think we just kind of get lost. I'm going to bow out and let him take over.
Do we need to tilt the camera up a little bit?
Yeah, we are always tilting the camera up, right?
They're trying to kill it. So.
There we go.
I've been in Louisville all day and just landed at PDK and then spent 2 hours in Atlanta traffic with wrecks and train blocking the highway. So,
Well, Joel, as long as you're here, we were just doing introductions. So tell us a little bit about your background in aviation and how you came to be the wing leader.
okay, so I knew that I wanted to fly at, I think I was 8 years old. Just knew it. That's headed in that direction. So I started an aircraft cleaning service to put myself through college and get my ratings. I did that, got my first job flying Jetstream 31s in Pennsylvania, came back here and flew beach jets. And then 9/11 happened and we found ourselves on the street for a while. But I have a background in information technology. That's what my degree is in. So I fell back on that, and that pulled me through for a few years, and then started knocking on hangar doors again, and started flying corporate jets again, and that was 12 years ago. And I also at that time started an IT company, and so I fly about 300 hours a year, and my little idea of an IT company has now grown, and we do a lot of contracts with the state of Georgia, city of Atlanta work. And I've always loved the history. That's what really drawn me in. My grandfather was in World War II in the Philippines. Just want to keep that story alive. And this was a great way to do it. It was in my backyard and surrounded by wonderful people. So that's the short story. Now, along the way, I've got 3 kids and a high school sweetheart of 32 years and all that stuff, but I won't bore you with that.
Here's a pretty silver airplane he might tell you about.
I've been very fortunate. I own a 1951 Bird Dog, number 96 off the line in January of 51. That's just beautiful. We repainted it, hung rockets back on the wings. And what I love about that airplane, if I take it to shows, I have Vietnam vets come up and tell me how the airplane saved their life. And I can't get any better.
Yep.
And then my girl, the airplane that I love, it's a 1943 SNJ. And I have had, let's just say it's a love-hate relationship sometimes. Right now it's a love relationship. I've been flying it the last 3 weekends and it's just doing great.
Awesome. Well, and that's what CAF is all about, using the airplanes to tell the stories and to remember those who came before us.
Well, and that's it. I'm not an aircraft owner. I'm a caretaker.
Right.
And I'm keeping that story alive, educating my kids. And now we're going to take care of these airplanes and pass them on. But the stories are the most important part. These are just objects to tell the story of the heroes of the past.
And you got a son that's flying now.
Yeah, and my son just started. He just got his private license, and he's going to be flying the Bird Dog here, I hope, shortly. Insurance kind of controls that, unfortunately.
They're the same height, by the way.
Yeah.
Well, good. Then you don't have to adjust the seat. You're good to go.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, now Airbase Georgia has really built up a reputation over the last few years, probably the last decade or so, of being the place where restorations happen and turning out some great restorations of aircraft, not only for Airbase Georgia, but for several other wings as well. And if we can take a look at some of the slides, we've got a little bit of, I guess, a sneak peek at your machine shop. So tell us a little bit about how you've been able to put that all together.
Well, the machine shop is, of course, everything in the way of equipment we have has been donated. And where we're standing right now, it's actually right behind us, about 40 feet. The tooling is old, but the old mills and all were built to last forever, and they meant it, and they do. We have one single kind of overlord that used to teach all those machines, and he keeps it all going. There's a lot of new blood. Since I've been here, I have had people come up to me and I said, "Oh, you interested in joining these?" They're like, "Yeah, but I want to learn how to run a mill." So Doug will take them under wing and take them back there and start them learning how to do that. And we need that because their senior guys are getting busy other ways. The newest machine we have is a 3-axis Haas. That's the main make CNC, and it's back in its corner. And we came about that. If I have time for the story. Oh, there you go. You got a picture.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
The owner of that has a machine shop down in Auburn, you know, the Fighting Spirit, other place that we don't like. And he was downtown in Atlanta where the airplanes were given rides, weekend flying, and he bought a ride in the Mustang. And the way I understand it, talking to him, he enjoyed the people so much and everybody with the helping sign papers and get him into the airplane. And then the flight itself, that he started following us on Facebook, and hadn't heard anything from him. And then all of a sudden, machine shop, one of the guys got a call and said, "I have a mill I need a place for. I want to get a bigger one. I need a room in my shop. Do you want it?" And interesting, I'll keep going because we got 7 hours to do this, right? He
Not on Randy
He
time.
called one of our guys that is now retired fireman and one of our main machine guys, and he called me, all just wound up. Somebody wants to goes a Haas 3-axis CNC. Do we want it? I went, yeah, okay. He delivered it. He had a truck bring it up. It weighs 8,000 pounds. And the beauty of it is Rodney, the guy that's learned how to do the software and is running it, has already saved our lunch with parts we just can't get, parts for the P-63 or whatever it might be. And it's just a matter of pulling drawings and putting them in and doing a blank run, and you got it. So that's the machine shop, and that's an incredible machine right there.
Right. Yeah, it's amazing how technology, even 10, 15 years ago, so many Warbird parts were becoming very hard to find, but now with this CNC technology and 3D printing and everything else, we're able to keep these airplanes going.
Thanks to Air Corps too.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks to Air Corps.
Yeah.
Providing the drawings.
So,
There it is.
yes. Yeah. Got a little bit of everything there, don't you?
It all works.
Yeah. And it gets used every week.
Well, good. And these machines are taking care of, one of the projects that's right behind you. That's the Stearman. Tell us a little bit about that restoration project that is in the background.
Well, this is a 1941, then end-to-end. It was a Navy trainer, and it was original. We actually ended up with 2 pretty well basket case projects that we were making in one airplane currently. The project was taken on with a couple background thoughts, and the one thought was it'd be nice to have a Stearman because everybody knows what a Stearman is, and a biplane at air shows usually a good place to go have your first biplane ride. But also, it was a way to have a new project that pretty much anybody that wanted to get involved with it could, and that was a real big part of the game changer for purchase. The idea that we could get members that normally wouldn't be participating in the airplane maintenance side interested, because there's things that are very simple with fabric work, whenever. And we actually got a lot of our ladies that hadn't done any of that involved, and we taught them aircraft fabric work, and they picked that up, and so did the guys. There was about 12 to begin with, which was good just to get started. The group was being overseen by me, and so everything we're doing is the way we have to by the rules. They sometimes have to get throttled, and I tell them, it's not an old Chevy, so we can't do that. We got books here. So they've all learned to read the books and the structural repair manuals and 4313s and whatnot and drawings. And they're pretty much self-running right now. The thing over there where you can't see it's out of the picture, but the link trainer was being put together and is operational now. Not certified for training, but it's operational by two guys. We have two gentlemen, and the senior was the younger guy was a pilot for Delta at one point, and he flew. I think he helped fly some of the CAF B-17s, that kind of thing. But the other man is named Malcolm Lelliott, and Malcolm is, and I give a lot of tours here when I'm not doing anything else, which is rare, but people come through and I walk them through all the airplanes and back here in the shop. And I tell them we got a lot of relics in the shop. And the first thing they see is Malcolm. And Malcolm is 83 or 84 now. He survived the German Blitz on London as a young baby child. So we have two people that were there for that, and they are back here in the shop every day if we let them. And some of them are here. They're constantly doing something. So with the rest of the Stearman, the fuselage is moving really well, and those two came off of the link and then really the ones that are focusing on this and keeping it under control. The airframe is getting very close to putting fabric on. We have most of the wiring harnesses are just getting finished. You might see dangling. We have instruments for it. We have new radios in it, ADSB. All that's already been purchased and is ready to go in there if it hasn't already. We do not have an engine yet. We had a core engine that came with the project. It's just a core engine. It's a Lycoming. What we're looking for is probably a new manufacturer Jacobs. And we'll see where that goes. Once they cover it, we'll be ready to put the fabric on, and then we can stick the landing gear on it. But we can't do that, but it's on a rotisserie right now. It lets us turn the fuselage on its axis so we can get to all sides without having to lay upside down trying to do fabric work or paint or anything else. And it's a very nice arrangement for this. It worked out as a good size for the shop. The rest of it is back there. Behind it, it's out of camera sight right now, but the ailerons are, one is covered, the other is just finishing about halfway through cover. The other flight controls, the vertical stabilizer, elevators, all that stuff's already complete as far as covering and not painted, but it was taken it through the ultraviolet protection coat. We're using a system because it's a waterborne, water-based system. It's certified for the airplane, the STC, but it's a steward system. And it makes it really easy for us to use in that there's no harsh chemicals that are there, not putting down anybody else's product. But this is something that works for us for fire safety, doing this in the building, in that we don't have a lot of extra fumes. And it is extremely simple to work with. And they're just knocking a home run on it.
Great. So what's the, so you said this is not a Model 75 Stearman?
Yeah, well, there were three or four different military numbers that they use.
Okay.
And I think what was on the paperwork was an N2N, I think is what I saw.
Oh, okay. So that from the Navy.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
We haven't gotten a paint scheme for it yet. We researched that on all the other airplanes for final paint. So they're all painted the way that they show in the records way back. This one, we don't know whether it was the blue and yellow, the silver and gray, or what color it was, but there's another picture of it. The hometown parade.
It's the parade, yeah.
But we'll get there. Yeah, we had the 4th of July parade in Peachtree City every year, and at least except for COVID. But the volunteers went and arranged the fuselage on a flatbed that they towed on into the parade, and they had some young guys that were on there throwing candy and whatnot. This is a big event every year, and we ended up taking the first place mayor's award. So everybody's
awesome.
excited.
Congratulations.
That was good. And it was people that normally don't get involved in hands-on airplane stuff.
Right. Well, good. Well, we're going to try to push technology to the edge on the hangar here and move on to your next project. So while you guys reset the camera, we'll go back and look at a few of these in progress shots of your Stearman project. This is one of the joys of live TV as we're walking through Airbase Georgia's hangar. You can see the wing structure on the Stearman there in that photo. All right, and just like that, we've moved on. How many different buildings are actually a part of your complex?
It's just a single structure with a hangar with offices on the side, and a shop and a large meeting room and a small meeting room, and so
it's more than just a hangar.
Yes, quite a bit more.
Well, we have 5 storage trailers out back that are stuffed full of things.
I wasn't going to include the storage trailers.
And you also rent out your hangar for outside events as well, right?
Yeah, that's a great revenue generator for us. We have all kinds of events going on for the police, the Greek festivals here. We have weddings, and the last wedding we had here, they actually set 2 of the aircraft up. I think it was the P-51 and the Corsair, and put lights under them, and it just turned out to be a great venue for that. People love that.
Excellent. All right. Well, what's in the background there?
Well, this is our PT-19, although they call it a PT what? It says PT-19 on the side. I'm sorry. I think that's what's on the registration too.
It's close.
They call it a PT-26 because we do have a canopy for it.
Yep.
Makes it longer term flying, even though in Georgia it stays warm most of the year. We have this airplane down for annual. It was necessary. And at the same time, during COVID, one good thing kind of happened to us, if you want to call it that, but a couple people in the wing actually did some deep dive research on the airplane. And during COVID, it was learned and it was validated with log entries that this was a Tuskegee trainer. And that gave it a little different of a prestige here. And it had been a regular flyer. It's been flying a lot. An easy rides airplane for people. Pilots, they just loved flying it. But when that information came, the staff and some of the members that fly it were in discussions. You know, it's getting where it needs a little bit of work. It needs not the airworthy side stuff, but the cosmetics. And so we all agreed that we would take it down because it needed annual, and at the same time we're going to do a recover. So that's what we've already started. The annual's pretty well already been inspected on the airframe. There's Bill, look at that. And we're now in the process of repairing some of the wood structure that was underneath in the fuselage, stringers, things like that need to be updated or repaired, just a little bit of wood rot, not anything traumatic. The wings we took off mainly to give us some floor space. We have everything else in here real tight. And the other was that we worked with the Heart of America wing, CAF, in Oklahoma City. And they had a PT-19, and not saying anything bad about them. They're incredible people. But they came to us for help because they thought they had delamination in their lower wing skin attach points. We flew out, looked at it, and yeah, that's what the case was. So they asked us for help, and they brought their wings here and the tail feathers. Basically, we agreed that we would do everything that was silver, and they were going to do everything that was blue, or yellow and blue, I guess what it was. And we started to open up the one wing that had the delamination. And this was a huge learning for everybody, and something that they learned from, and we did here also, that once we opened up the wing, and you do it by taking the skin off, can't get in any other way. There was a lot of glue joint separation through the wing. We ended up replacing 9 ribs, the leading edge ribs, We had a spar splice that had to be done, and a lot of other work that all fed into the thing. We ended up with the airplane wings for three years to get that finished where it was, ready for cover, and then we stopped. The other wing really wasn't in too bad a shape, but at some point a squirrel looks like it had gone down in the leading edge, and I'm thinking it was in a hangar or in a barn somewhere as a spare, maybe even way back, and it didn't have any structural loss as far as I can tell, but they had gnawed away the diagonal braces and vertical braces in the internal of the ribs. So it was just that monocoque structure of the plywood really making things work. It's a testament to the strength of the airplane. So I had something I wanted to do, but you'd have to pan the camera. Can you pan the camera over here? While I'm talking about this, is a learning lesson for anybody who's got a PT. So this is a horizontal stabilizer off of a PT-19. Ours is in the back. When we had it back there, we pulled the fabric off and we started looking at it. Outwardly, it didn't look bad, but somebody went and rolled it up on end. I don't know if you can see that. And that fell out. That's a truss that goes down into these areas and strengthens all the ribs. We couldn't figure out what was rattling around, and the one we just took off the airplane, we thought was maybe mud daubers, because in the South, the mud daubers burrow anywhere. But the internal stiffeners were failing, and it's the old casein glue. This one we had already in another location, and the skin was off of it. And we went and got it and inspected it. It looks beautiful inside. We'll end up putting the new mahogany on here, and this one will be used on the airplane. We'll eventually take that one apart and do all the repairs, but this will get us back in the air quicker. We have our wings to look at, but I think they're probably in pretty good shape. Anyway, that's a little PT-19.
Yeah, we're looking at the as we're looking at the tail feathers, we're looking at the rebuilt turtle deck there too, as well.
Oh yeah. Well, that's actually the belly panel.
Oh, is it? Okay.
That's the belly panel. It's upside down. Down in the lower fuselage in the back. Yeah, the guys that had learned the fabric work on the Art of America airplane, the woodwork, are actually the ones that work in this with some new folks that have just started working on it. And it was in really good shape. Couple of repairs, and we've got, you can see the new fabrics on it, and they're at a point in going and getting it to a point where it's in silver also. That'll protect it from the ultraviolets.
Awesome. Yeah, a lot of work going into that, and I like this picture because it really shows how tightly spaced everything is in your hangar. You get it kind of wedged in there.
Well, we have this compressed because I got a Mustang the other side of the camera, and I got a Toro Cape to my left, and a Corsair, and a SBD, and a T6, and a P63, and a P-47.
It's a real rough toy box to be in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just sounds awful, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
It does. So how long do you think the PT will be down before it's back in flying condition?
Engine and tube airframes, radios, all that is ready to just finish up. The wood stuff and what's left on the wings, if we don't see anything on the wings, I haven't taken the hides off of those yet. I really would like to get back in the air by Thanksgiving. That's the target.
Okay. Wow.
And part of that is we have that other project over there. It's big and shiny that I'm just wanting to really get sticking my teeth into.
Yeah.
We'll go look at that one in just a moment. Any final thoughts before we move on to the newest project in your hangar on the PT?
If anybody wants to learn fabric work, please come see us. We need some help. And you don't have to have any experience.
No, I actually do a course that I did when I was at Embry-Riddle teaching.
Okay.
A long time ago. And it's the exact same thing, and it's very fundamental. And once you do it, I tell everybody, if you actually wrapped a Christmas present, unlike me, I just take a piece of aluminum foil, twist the ends, give it to my wife. But if you've actually wrapped a Christmas present and it came out pretty nice, that's all this is. It just has some rules that have to be followed.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line.
Great. All right, let's move on and see that other big project that you've just inherited.
See if our wireless signal's going to be good now.
And while they do that, we've got a few more pictures of the PT, looking at the inside of the wing structure there. Another view of the fuselage. There's a good shot. You can see the fabric work in progress. I know Randy says if I can wrap a Christmas present that I'll be able to do fabric covering, but I don't know. Normally when I wrap Christmas presents, it's in a gift bag. So does that count?
Audio good from here?
Looks good.
Is the audio good?
You got it. Yep, we can hear you just fine. This airplane is just a little bigger than the last one we looked at.
It even makes Joel look small, which is hard to do.
That's right. So give us a little background on the P-47.
Bring it off the truck. Over here.
Well, it was highly anticipated, obviously. We couldn't wait to get it here. And then when it arrived, it was like a three-ring circus getting it off the truck. It was a little nerve-wracking. And I'll say that because the gentleman in the forklift, Bob Grove, ran the forklift beautifully. And my 20-year-old son, who I didn't know could run a Bobcat, jumped in the Bobcat.
He wasn't sure either.
Yeah. Well, he's run a Bobcat for a landscaping company. That's far different than picking up a priceless fuselage. So, but it all went well. I was very proud of him. He's very excited to be here and participate, and we're attracting more young people like him. But it all went just great, and we're tickled to have it. So we've got a meeting on 27th at 1 o'clock.
27th of August.
So people who are interested in participating in the project team, the 27th of August, 1 o'clock here, we're going to have our very first meeting, our kickoff meeting to start inventorying the airplane. And there's a very well-developed plan for that.
Yeah, we've already put together. I saw this airplane when it was still at Redbird, but since then it's been moved to SoCal, and we just got it from SoCal. And I do want to say thank you to the people out in California for helping. They were very gracious to the guys that I sent out, very helpful, and all the mechanics that went out there to get the parts loaded in a semi. Absolutely said wonderful things about the place and the people. He said that the people were just great. So appreciate it, Southern California.
Yeah, they've been very good to us.
Good.
So the biggest part that we got to go and do first is part of what Joel said, is we got to find out what we have and what we don't have so we know what we can start looking for. And in one of the connexes that's in behind the hangar here I talked about is going to house all the parts that we can get in there. All the main small parts. We have a Boy Scout that is trying to get his Eagle, and he needed a scout project, and he came to us and asked me if that's something that maybe he could do, is help with that and put shelves in. And I said, yeah, that sounds like a great idea, because it's just an empty 40-foot long trailer right now. And the story behind the Eagle Scout is that he's about to time out. He's not quite 18, but he's about to time out. He has this project, and all the paperwork's been applied, and he's got tertiary okay. But the interesting thing about his family is his grandfather lives right around the corner from him, 3 miles from here, in fact, from Peachtree City. His dad was a Korean Corsair pilot. His grandfather was a Korean Corsair pilot. And there is a movie called Devotion coming out in October, or Thanksgiving actually, about Corsair pilots in Korea. Our Corsair was in the filming, giving it a plug. But Lowell, who was also a Corsair pilot, it's not a story about him, was taken off from USS Valley Forge the same time that the star of the show, Jesse Brown, was taken off from the USS Lake team. They were going into the Chosin Reservoir area, bad place, heavy targets. And Lowell got shot down, same as it happened to Jesse Brown. His outcome was different than Lowell's. But Lowell bailed out and got on the ground, was picked up by a heli for his logbook entry, same date stamp and all, made it back to the carrier, and then he went back flying the next day. So they're kind of a different group back then. Well, Lowell's son, Scott, he's flying for Delta Airlines, and their son, Ryan, is the Eagle Scout. So they're all local folks, but they kind of had a history that was pretty interesting. So that's why I decided to share that with you.
Yeah.
Once we get the parts inventory, which we're doing by tagging, we have Aircore, we have mobile parts manuals, we have a production line of doing the parts that we're going to talk about on the 27th. That's how we're going to tackle it. We don't want to just take a part out and see if we can find a hole to put it in. We want to actually get good part numbers, tag it, and then identify the parts, whether they're something that's serviceable, because there are some serviceable parts. A lot of them are already put back on the fuselage. Or if it's something that is okay, it needs a little bit of a cleaning up and a paint job on it. Or something is, yeah, it's no good, but don't throw it away because we might need a piece of hardware off of it. So we're going to identify that with a color tag system, just like stoplights, red, yellow, green, that kind of thing. And we have a spreadsheet that's already made that'll encompass all of that. That is the same kind of spreadsheet. It's a copy of it that we used for the PT-17 project in the back, because we had to figure out what we had before we could figure out what we needed. A lot of boxes, a lot of parts. So we're going to start that, and that'll be the first probably a couple, 3 weeks to take us to get that all done with, if we have all of our materials. We have 24 people that have been identified that are adjunct that are interested in getting to work on this thing right away. Awesome. So that'll be a good start.
As you're looking at the project now, and this may be too early to make the judgment, but do you foresee having to take anything apart to put it back together, or is kind of what we see right now is you're just needing to put the rest of the pieces up?
Well, do you want to tell the story? Philip standing off the screen here, making faces at me.
This is where I belong. What story?
Story and the background of this.
So the background of this airplane was one of the original CAF airplanes. Red Nose, our Mustang, P-63, the Corsair, the Bearcat, the P-40, and this particular airframe. Was it 20 years ago it came out of restoration? So about 20 years ago it came out of restoration. Stan Music actually delivered it over to Kavanaugh Museum. Doug's Gene was taking the airplane off and the fuel line snapped. And it started spraying high pressure avgas onto the exhaust. And luckily it just happened when it broke the ground. Doug was wearing all his safety gear, Nomex, flight suits, helmet, gloves, everything you can think of. So when flames were coming around the cockpit, in the cockpit, around the cowling, he was protected. And he happened to just break the ground when everything started. So he immediately turned left and landed on an intersecting runway, a perpendicular runway. And it ended up catching fire and burning pretty significantly. Now, since that period of time, this airplane has had a ton of work done to it. It was shipped over to Oklahoma. The fuselage was jigged, and then everything was removed that was burned and just charred, and then it was replaced. So everything you're seeing here on the fuselage has either been reskinned, NDT'd, looked at, examined. So everything here is in really great shape. Now, was it the left wing that broke in half or the right wing? The right wing?
He didn't land exactly flat. He kind of did this at the last minute, bent their right wing up.
He was motivated to get out.
Yes, he was.
So the right wing actually burned, and it separated and burned and broke in half. The left wing was in great shape, and so since then the left wing has also been jigged, examined, looked at, poked, prodded, everything like that. Luckily, for those who are familiar with Midland, Texas, remember the hill out in Midland, Texas was just a gigantic parts bin out there. There was a brand new, never used right wing sitting out there in the dirt. So they went out there and got that right wing and brought it back. And so that right wing is going to take a little bit of work to get going, but it's in really good shape as well.
Yeah, and that wing is on the other side. We have it standing vertical right now. This one we haven't stood up yet.
Right.
I'll step back out of the picture.
Did you get any shots of the inside? The inside of the fuselage, that's museum quality.
Yeah, the inside of the fuselage is, I mean, it's primed, it's perfect. It doesn't have anything in it, but it's ready to roll. This is a great project. And like Randy was saying, you know, it's been passed around. The SoCal guys did a great job working on it. Everybody that has touched the airplane has just done museum quality work to it.
When you finally get everything put together, what engine is going on the front end?
2800.
Same as the Corsair, and they were using the Hamilton Standard props toward the end of the war. So basically it's the same prop that's on the Corsair, only 4-blade.
Okay. One of our viewers is wondering what's the genesis of the nickname the Jug? Might be putting you on the spot there.
Well, can't look through Joel a little bit. If we took this thing right here and picked it up by the tail and stood it in the air, the nose was sitting on the ground. Way back when I was a kid, either of these guys are too young, but we used to get milk delivered in a milk jug to the front door by the milkman. Yes, we do. And that's where the name came from, as far as I've been told, the jug. The reason the airplane is so huge was because of the 2800 up here, big prop, and they had it all faired in. The cowling is very faired in tight. But this airplane had a turbocharger in it, and that's back in, going off camera.
Nope, you're fine.
No. Turn.
No, you're good.
So the turbocharger goes up into here. And that whole plenum system is in the airplane. It looks new. When we have the turbocharger, I haven't looked at it. I'm told it looks like brand new in the box. And the point of the turbocharger, get back right here. The point of the turbocharger was it would use engine exhaust through tubing to spin a turbine up that stuck just out of the bottom of the airplane towards right in front of the tail. It would drive an air compressor, which would then blow pressurized air up tubes up either side, right behind here, and it would come out here on either side, and then that would dump air into the carburetor in very similar fashion to what the Corsair has. It doesn't have a turbocharger. The engine also has a supercharger, which is engine driven, not exhaust driven, and that's the same as what we have working on Corsair. It's a beast of a system, but the fuselage housed all that, and that was the big design reason that the Republic did. It's quite a large structure.
Now, is the turbocharger? Are you going to put that back operational, or I know some like B-17s had turbos on them, but most of them are out of service. But is it necessary for the Jug? Is it necessary? Okay.
Go ahead.
Is it necessary for the performance of the airplane to have that turbocharger?
Not where we fly. We're daylight VFR, so we're going to go to 17, but we don't do that. We're going to have oxygen. So we're really sitting around 11,000. The regular supercharger, just like on the Corsair, will do all the work it needs. The airplane was built with the high altitude, high speed idea. And the books I'm reading, it says the service ceiling was 41,000 feet. And it would really move up there. The wing on it, this thing here is I think it's an M6 airfoil, which was a different airfoil profile than had been used. And it could carry a load. The empty weight's around 10,500, 600 pounds. That's the empty weight. But it would carry all like 20,000 pounds as a total gross. So it's carrying its weight, just being able to fly. The wing is, that's where all the ammo cans, ammo belts go in. Machine guns are over in that area. I can see that. I don't know, is that on there?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see it.
And this has the leading edge removed. I don't know when it was removed. Maybe SoCal took it off, but it was on intact. This is the original left wing. We do have 2 pair of landing gear. Haven't gotten detailed look at them yet. That's part of the inspection process. We have all the parts. Nothing that I know of has ever been thrown away. There may be some that have disappeared by souvenir hunters over the years, but all the big parts and anything that had already been taken off is still here. To the point where Brad Pilgrim down at Kavanaugh, I was talking to him about it, see if he had any leftover parts or paper. And he says, no. He says, when are you coming to get this other wing? I went, what other wing? You have another wing? And he says, yeah, the one that burned up. I said, you still got that? And he said, yeah, you don't throw anything out. So they have a storage room down there at Kavanaugh's museum. Want to go get it? I don't know.
You're going to need another storage trailer.
Yeah, there's all kinds of storage for this airplane.
Which
the canopy is new. That's in the picture.
Yep.
So is the windshield, because the original canopy we have back here in storage, and it was severely melted with Doug Jean's flying it then afterwards. But the fire initially came up this side, and talking to Doug, he walked me through the whole entire way it happened. But he told a story also that he told me, whether it's true or not, I'll repeat it without embarrassing anybody. But I asked him, I said, well, you got it on the ground, you got to stop. So his intent was to belly it in on the perpendicular runway, get it on the ground, kick rudders in the airplane around so the fire is blowing away from him because he's sliding backwards. And he did that. The airplane stopped about here instead of all the way sliding tail first. In that process, he got out. That's all I remember. He got out, he ran between the taxiway and the runway, and he sat down in the grass, and he said, I had a little bit of singe on this side, nothing really traumatic, but he says, my ankles hurt. And then the paramedics were there, fire department's there. And I said, well, why'd your ankles hurt? He says, I don't know. I couldn't figure out why my ankles hurt. This is how I remember it. But he said when he landed, he kind of wobbled. This wing broke, the right wing broke. The left one's laying flat on the ground. He just wanted out of the airplane. Instead of going out that one, he went off the high wing. And when he did, that's why his ankles hurt. He didn't break anything, but it's like it was a pain from the jump. So, Brad, if you're seeing this, you can tell a different story, but that's the one you told me in your office down at Kavanaugh. Here's the canopy. Can you see that?
Yep.
The burnt one.
Yeah, that's amazing. And if anyone ever has the opportunity to hear Doug tell that story first person, it's quite a tale, and he'll be the first to admit that having the Nomex flight suit, the helmet, and the gloves really helped save him in that situation. And he really is a promoter of that kind of safety. Which model, you mentioned the wing was a little different on this one. Which model of P-47 is this?
This is an N model.
N model, okay.
The last of the series.
All right. And what are some of the big differences between some of the early ones and this particular airframe?
Oh, boy. They're all of our manufacturers are doing incremental little changes during the whole process of the war. This one was definitely made for high speed, high altitude cruising. That was the main game plan. This has 10 fuel tanks in it, and we have all of those out here too. And they were the explosion-proof rubber bladders. They even have very legible print stamps on them from when they were put together. They're very heavy, and that gave it the ability to fly a long way. So it held. Making Phillip run outside and get spare parts and bring them in for showing.
We're just going to keep mentioning parts to see how many times he's going to run out of the hangar and try to get something.
And we're going to make sure they get farther and farther out in the yard.
There you go.
For instance, the Corsair has 237 gallon single bladder tank in front of the pilot, right behind the oil accessory area for the engine. It is at 80 gallons an hour cruise, same engine now. doesn't give us a whole lot of long leg time without drop tanks, which they had on the Corsair. We actually got a pair of Corsair drop tanks around here somewhere that Phillip found. They're non-serviceable. They might make a good picture one of them. This airplane carried close to 450 pounds, I think, when these were all filled. This was a leading edge tank. See the shape of it?
505.
505?
Yep, that's how much fuel it carries.
So that was slid in the leading edge, not the thin end, but from the fat end.
Yep.
And all of them were plumbed together. Reading the pilot operating manual, they had a large workload in this airplane because they were constantly up here switching tanks just to keep things balanced and burning the right tanks and burning just so far and whatnot. If anybody wants to buy any of those manuals, I don't have one for sale, but I got one that looks like it was brand new off of eBay. There's lots of those manuals that are out there for all these airplanes just to have in a collection of books. Not giving anybody credit for it. It was a big, good read from it. You want to talk about it?
There were 10 fuel tanks on the airplane. A total of 10 tanks.
Yeah, Phil, if you go back, get the big one. The big one is it's huge and it's shaped like a big giant chair, and it goes right in here in this area. This whole thing, and it's all finished, and it goes up and back in the instrument panel. There's another one that's down in here. There's some of the wings right here. This thing has 2 armor plates on it that were protecting the pilot, and actually it was a double layer on the back as far as we can tell, but the pilot manual talks about the extra protection because since these are thick, a round or shrapnel or whatever from a ground fire, it would explode. It wouldn't explode. It wasn't full of foam like the race cars are, but it would close and seal right away. How much is that weigh? Oh, for you, it's me. I don't know, 15 pounds, 20 pounds. Well, the big one is you got a forklift it around.
Sure.
Or Joel just picks it up.
Joel is just pick it up one hand.
There you go. So now here's the $1 million question, and again, it might be too early, but any preliminary thought as to when we might see an engine run and first flight?
Yes, it'll be Thursday
Okay.
You just fill in the year.
Okay.
I get everybody comes in here asking that.
Yeah.
Wow, really cool. How long is it going to take? And they don't want an answer, and they want an answer. So I tell them 3 years.
Yeah.
So if you set a target, you can work toward the target. If you don't set a target, it'll be, this airplane that's right here is a P-63 King Cobra, one of 4 flying, and that was a 15 or 16 year project right here.
Yeah.
So we don't want it drawn out that long because
This is in 10 times better shape than that.
Oh,
yeah, this is a pick up and finish the restoration.
Good.
Parts are going to be a challenge, but we have recently acquired, because of this airplane, a lot of new talent, AMPs with sheet metal background, structures background from the airlines that are retired in the area, because we got a heavy airline area here.
Yep.
And they come in, and they came as soon as this was posted that it was out, that we had it, and it was out to the world. People started showing up. They ran past everything else just to see this. So it's going to have a good labor pool.
Good.
And
Now,
background knowledge.
yeah. How do you schedule your work for the volunteers? Not only for the P-47, but for all of your projects. I mean, do you have pre-arranged days that the hangar is open for work, or do you set up different people on different projects? How do you organize the labor pool?
published work days are Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. There's somebody here every day.
Okay.
There's not a day. Yeah, well, this guy. There's enough work going on. I mean, all these airplanes require a tremendous amount of love, not to mention the facility upkeep, and there's bookkeeping going on, and you know, everything. Here's what I tell people: it's a volunteer organization, it's really a business masquerading as a volunteer organization. So everything you would have in a business, we have to have here. So Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays published, but we're open. We're working Monday through Saturday.
And when, during the winter months and there's no air shows going on, we catch up on our annuals.
Right.
So we got on schedule where pretty much everything is needing an annual somewhere in the winter months. And that gives us some pad. And then as soon as March hits, everything is pretty well done, so we can get out and start flying again. And we go up and down the East Coast or wherever it might be that they want us to go. The airplanes are getting annual, the conditional inspections on the 2 experimentals. I'm sure this would be experimental. It's already listed, I think, that way, in the registration. But they're still getting an annual. It's just called a conditional inspection. It's still thorough takedown and a very detailed inspection on everything as the checklist that we have will tell us. The Mustang right now is down for 100-hour because they fly that airplane constantly. And
That's a workhorse.
that's a real workhorse. And the Corsair is up and down with air shows, but the Dauntless is one of 3 flying right now, I think, on the planet. Maybe
I think it's 5.
But the lady in, what is it, blue? Lady in blue. Lady in blue. There's a nickname for it. Really nice, authentic appearing airplane. Everything we have has modern radios. We have that in the transponders. We can't sacrifice authentic insides for safety for a flight crew or a passenger if we have a passenger. So we spent a lot of energy and money on the upgrades on the radios here in this last couple of years.
Mm-hmm. More to come.
And more to come. The airplanes, because every time they leave town, we recover them, or they're in a constant maintenance inspection program. We're constantly look at them. We have crew chiefs assigned to certain airplanes, and they're always on top of the airplanes trying to catch little things, just little things, because the radial engines will shake and go. And the Merlin is a finicky engine. I use another word in it, but I won't use it. And but the P-51 is just a pleasure to work on. So there's where we go with it. And what happens is we give the crew chief the ability to acquire who he has need for in their way or their talent. We'll bring new people in. With the Mustang, we did a 35-hour inspection on it, which is mainly the engine before it went up to Oshkosh, because I knew we were going to sell rides. We needed to have time on it. And we had some people that had never touched an airplane that are really sharp, females, and male, and a couple other guys that were very experienced, and I oversaw the thing. But they learned a lot, and it brought a lot of new folks into the fold to get their hands on the Warbirds.
Good. We've got a couple of questions here from the audience. Do you know when this particular P-47 was built? What year it was built?
I think it was either 44 or 45.
44 or 45?
It was a tail end. I think it was 44. I got the paperwork in on my desk, but I didn't memorize it all.
Yeah. And do you, what's the status of the engine? Do you have one for the airplane, or are you in search of one?
We need one.
Okay. So if anybody has a spare R2800 laying around.
Got one laying around, send it our way.
And Leah reminds the audience that the more you can support the project, either financially or by volunteering, the faster it will go. And that's
Absolutely.
good words of advice. So
And by supporting this project means that you could support some of the other projects by showing up and working on those. One of the challenges we face is there's an incredible amount of talent that comes through these doors every day. And as that talent gets older, we need younger people to come in and transfer that knowledge and keep us going. Not only transfer the knowledge, but tell the story. The story is just as important. So there's tons of ways to come down here and contribute and be involved.
excellent. And we'll wrap up with that thought. If you would like more information about the Airbase, Georgia, the website is up. You can find it through the CAF website, or what's the address of the direct address of the website for you?
Airbasegeorgia.org, and Georgia is spelled out.
All right, airbasegeorgia.org. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us tonight and showing us some of your projects. And we're going to be, trust me, we will check back in on the P-47 project and see how your progress is coming. So we'll do that on a future episode of Warbird Tube. We'd like to thank all of you for joining us tonight. Again, don't forget to click that like, subscribe, or follow button so we can let you know about future shows. If you have an idea for a future show that you'd like to see us either talk to a specific individual, maybe an author, or find out more about a specific airplane, just drop Leah Block an email at media@cafhq.org. All right. Thanks to the folks from Airbase Georgia, Phillip, Randy, and Joel for showing us a little piece of of heaven there down in Peachtree City. Until next time, I'm Steve Buss, and this is Warbird Tube. Have a great night.